Hey guys, thanks for stopping by iDub Hockey. My name is Tyson, and right now we're going to be checking out how to select a hockey elbow pad. Now there's a lot of different elbow pads on the market, so what we're going to be doing is first we're going to break down the different types of elbow pads, and then we're going to show you some of the general characteristics you can expect to find on an entry, and then on a mid, and then a top of the line elbow pad. So to start us off on that, first elbow pad we're going to look at is going to be what they call a soft shell design. Basically this has a padded outside, and it has actually a plastic core on the inside, but since that plastic isn't on the outside, it has a soft feel to it. Typically these pieces is a one-piece elbow pad, so it's entirely one piece. This design is more common for the entry and rec level players because it doesn't offer quite as much protection as some of the higher end ones. But rec players really tend to like this because it doesn't stick that far off the arm and it really offers some great mobility. So going on from there, the next type of elbow guard is going to be a two-piece design. This is going to be the most common elbow pad on the market. Basically, you have the core of the pad, which is going to have the elbow and forearm guard. Typically, this is a molded piece of plastic that's covered. This is going to offer the core of the protection, like I said, and then you have an upper piece, which is called the bicep guard. So that gives you your two pieces. Then the last kind of elbow guard that's out is going to be a three-piece elbow pad. Typically, the three-piece designs will be seen more on the top or the higher-end pads. And basically what they do is they take a two-piece design, so you have your bicep and then your bottom portion, and they just add another segment here. What this does, it allows it to have the same protection that you'd expect on a two-piece, but it gives a little bit better mobility, and when the arm's straightening out, you can see that it allows the pad to lay a little bit flatter on the arm. So that's a nice feature out of a three-piece. So going on from there, first we'll start with giving you some characteristics of a slash guard or the forearm guard on an entry-level pad. You can see here it's a single density foam. It wraps over. This one does a good job at wrapping all the way across. Sometimes you might not see this wrapping all the way over. Going on from there to an intermediate pad. This one you'll start to see plastic inserts coming in the slash guard, so it's going to give you a little bit more protection there. And then on a top of the line pad, you'll still have those plastic inserts, but you'll often see them combining that with some high-end foams. So this one has some higher-end foams on top and then some plastic inserts on the bottom. You can see it gives a complete wrap of the forearm, so there's not going to be any gaps there, and it's going to offer that great level of protection. Next one, going up from there, is we're going to take a look at the bicep guards. Once again, the bicep guard on an entry-level pad is typically going to be single-density foam throughout. So that's what this one has here. A mid-price point or an intermediate pad is going to have some thin plastic inserts. Usually it won't be one molded piece. They'll usually have some segments to it, and it usually won't be quite as thick plastic inserts as you'll see on a higher end pad. And going on from there, take a look at a higher or top of the line pad. Once again, you're going to see denser plastics. You're also going to see more high-end foams on it. So they've used that same high-end foam you saw down there on the upper portion. So it's really going to give you a little more protection right below the shoulder pad. Next one, going on from there, is we're going to take a look at the strapping systems. Typically, the strapping on an entry-level pad is going to be your basic elastic and Velcro system. You can see this one has 3 straps. That's fairly common to see on a two-piece elbow pad, 2 on the bottom portion and 1 on the top. And then looking at your intermediate pad, you still have your 3 strapping designs, but you can see they've gone ahead and changed up the materials used on them. Up at the top, you still have your elastic. Down at the bottom, you have a nylon material, so this is nice because it's not going to stretch at all. And then underneath it, really what's setting this one apart is it has this different mesh material. So they start to introduce the advanced straps on these ones, but you typically won't see the high-end straps across the entire pad. And then finally, looking at our top of the line pad, you kind of have some nicer quality elastic. It's a lot softer than the normal elastics. And then you have, in this particular one, they have a unique, almost neoprene-like strap here. So that's another nice feature seen on this pad. Finally, next thing you want to look at in elbow pads is going to be what kind of liner does it have. So as we go ahead and open up our entry-level pad, you can see here it has a typical brushed nylon liner. That can be expected on an entry-level pad. And then as we go up to an intermediate pad, this is where they typically start to use more advanced materials, or a little bit nicer. So you can see here, this one has started to introducing their top-of-the-line material, but it's used just down here in the base of the pad, and it's not featured yet on the upper bicep guard. And then finally, when you get to an advanced or a pro-level pad, what you can really expect to see is you can expect to see that liner used throughout the entire pad. So you can see here they have that premium liner used not only in the core of the pad but also in the bicep guard. So now that's been just kind of a quick look at the different features and the different things you can expect from the different pads. Definitely you want to match this up to your level of play. So if you're playing in a higher level league, you're going to probably want to use something with a little more protection, or if you're playing more rec level or kind of just getting into the sport, you can get away with something that's going to be a little bit lighter and not quite as much bulk to it or as much protection. And then another thing kind of to consider, sometimes you'll see guys in ice using a little bit higher level of pad than in roller. Really it comes down to, once again, personal preference and what level you're playing at. That's giving you kind of the basic ideas and basic concept of selecting an elbow guard. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Once again, my name's Tyson, and this is at Inline and Ice Warehouse.